Under this theme moving forward, how is the government committing to actually be the flag bearer of the girls' rights, especially as far as leadership and well-being is concerned?
I think first and foremost is there are already a number of programs that are underway. I mentioned, for example, the PDM model, which is coming in with a lot of emphasis on improving household incomes, on improving household access to services, on improving household access to information and knowledge to make the right decisions. And I think from that, government is buffering against some of the key issues that really limit girls' rights. For example, household poverty. If you're looking at the empowerment programs across the board in all line ministries that look at improving household incomes to be able to demand and access services for household members. That is really, really important. If you look at, for example, our NADS programs, our Operation Worth programs, increasing productivity at household level, increasing access to essential food commodities, all these buffer against the critical issues that girls face. If you look at, again, at some of the challenges that girls face that we really want to address over the next 5 or so years, we already have a national strategy to end child marriage and teenage pregnancy, bring on board or galvanizing multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder efforts to be able to target the hotspots for child marriage, the districts with high incidences of child marriage, by strengthening the protection, the child protection systems there, like she mentioned, the police, the justice, law and order sector, the communities, engaging the cultural and religious leaders to be able to demystify and challenge those harmful social norms that deter girls from attaining their education and economic opportunities. And last but most importantly, engaging parents, because we believe that all the girls are coming from homes. So if you're able to support your girl to be able to stay in school, to be able to participate in all activities that affect them, I think that is the bedrock of our interventions. So we're looking at improving parenting, actually telling parents on what their role is. Issues of menstrual hygiene management are supposed to be managed from the home. If your girl is a preteen, she has started going into her menstrual cycles, what is your role as a parent? You have to call on government to be able to address that. If they are over 40 million parents, or if they are over 30 million parents, are they all going to run to government? We believe that this actually can put as much pressure on government, because we believe that some of the things have to be done at the household level. That's true. The issues of giving girls the esteem to be able to discuss about issues that affect them begins from the household. They begin from the family. So we're investing in parenting. We have a national parenting manual. We have a national parenting guidelines that are already out, where we are trying to inform parents on what their role is in bringing up children. You're not bringing up children for your own good, but you're bringing up children who are going to be beneficial to the community, beneficial to their country, and who are going to be healthy and highly productive. Okay. The most critical thing that we'd also like to address is the issue of HIV. We've seen that girls and young women are 3 times more likely to get infected with HIV, unlike boys. So we've seen that of all the new HIV infections, for example, they're happening amongst children, amongst adolescents and young people aged 15 to 24. And this is very, very over. I think in 2021 we had 15,000 new HIV infections amongst young people. This is a very, very high number. So if we're looking at having a healthy population, we also know that, for example, adolescents and young people are the ones giving birth now. So what does that mean? We've seen that if we don't address an issue like that, like HIV, talking to the young people to delay engaging in sex, to be able to use all the strategies that we know. The ABC strategy is still relevant. To abstain, to stay and wait until marriage is really, really critical, because if we don't cap that, then we are going to get a very, very big challenge. Well,
that particular campaign seems to have died in light of so many other things that have woken up in most recent years as far as advocacy is concerned. But turning to you, Madam Fatia, in regards to Plan International, I know that you have geared a lot of support towards girls and women's participation, especially as far as governance is concerned, as well as development processes. Now, the things that he has talked about that government has readily put on a silver plate, if we can say say, for girls to engage in? How are you going to be supporting government in ensuring that actually girls take up these opportunities?
Thank you very much. For us as Plan, this whatever we've discussed here is well aligned in our national strategy, and it's aligned in our thematic areas as mentioned in our national strategy. So we have like 3-4 themes, and each theme of course has the details about it. So we have what we call the lead. So lead, of course, we look at how we empower the girls in different aspects to take up leadership and so on, advocate, and like I've already mentioned. So we have the learn. So the learn also looks at investing so much in education. So we look at how we invest in inclusive education to make sure that we have both boys and girls, but of course with our focus always on girls to make sure that they're able to enroll and retained in school. So we also look at working closely with parents, because just like he said, we cannot achieve this if we don't have parents on board and supporting the entire process. So the other thing is about decide. So we are looking at SRH, sexual reproductive health issues. We take them seriously because they are one of the issues that affect girls' education and participation in a number of things. So we're looking at how do we empower girls, but also empowering families and communities to make sure that issues of sexual reproductive health are well addressed at different levels. Okay. And lastly, we also look at Thrive, the economic empowerment part of it, because we cannot achieve all this if we don't have the money part of it. So we work with different institutions, but also youth-led organizations to make sure that we build the capacities of our girls and boys on issues to do with financial capacity building, to make sure that they have something in their pockets, because they cannot run anything if they don't have such
economic empowerment.
Okay. So our whole purpose and our work is well aligned in the strategy, but we continue to work closely with government, and we are guided by existing policies. Government has clear policies and guidelines and frameworks that we work along with, so we don't work in isolation. We work in line with those guidelines and policies. But also as Plan, we have our policies. We have the gender policy, we have the child and protection policy, safeguarding policies. So those policies go ahead to guide on how we do our work as Plan in regard to protection of girls.
And now to the last voice, the leader herself, Celestine. As an activist, what's your voice of encouragement to the young girls as we do commemorate the International Day of the Girl Child?
Okay, thank you so much. As an activist, my advice to the girls and young women is, yes, we are still facing challenges, but we still have to go on, because this world, there were girls, you were girls before us, and we are girls today, and there are girls coming tomorrow. So we have to keep on doing this to create a better world for the girls still coming behind us. So as a girl child, I want to bring a voice to my fellow girls, saying that we can't stop now, because if the journey starts, we can't stop from between. So we have to keep moving and break these barriers that stop us from reaching our goals. The barriers like the less of GBV, low self-esteem. Most girls, especially in the villages, they don't think they can really do it. So we are still facing a challenge of lack of confidence, the information. Girls really lack information about sexual reproductive healthy rights, their rights on its own. Most girls don't even know what their rights are. So I urge the government and the NGOs like Plan to at least extend the sensitivity of the community about girls' rights, and especially the sexual reproductive health rates, as he said, because if the numbers of HIV are rising among the youth, that means we don't have the next generation. So on this, we really have to come up with something. On the online, when we come to technology, we are now running an online campaign about ending GBV by 2030, and this, we are still facing challenges, yet we are transforming from the analog systems to technology. We are still facing online harassment as girls and young women. When you stand out to talk about issues affecting girls and young women, men will always think you want to overtake them, which is not really true. And we really have to work on the mindset changes right from our communities, as he said, in the families. If my parent cannot give me a platform to at least address the issues in my family, how will I stand on the national TV and start addressing issues affecting girls in the world? So on this, we really need to build capacities right from our houses, right from our homes, and parents to take up their parental guidelines to their kids, because now parents tend to work a lot and give less time to kids. Yes, so we urge the parents to at least give more time to girls to know what's really affecting them in schools. Girls spend a lot of time in schools, like 3 months and only weeks at home. How will you really know if you're working from morning to evening, you come back so tired, you just go to bed? Have they eaten? That's all. School fees is paid, that's all. But as girls and young women, as children, we really need that parental guidance.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Celestine, who is, of course, a girl child activist at Plan International. Fatia Tugonza, also with Plan International. Thank you so much for having given us an enlightenment in the advocacy work that is being given girls equals. And then, of course, Mr. Godova, thank you so much equally from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development for enlightening us on this discussion, of course, commemorating the International Day of the Girl Child, which is on 11th October, which happens to be tomorrow. And thank you so much to our audience. I trust that this conversation has added a piece of information or two to something that you need to do, especially if you are a parent or a parent-to-be. Please be mindful of the young people that we have around them, and make sure that we embed as much into them as possible.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Keeping tabs on the political atmosphere 61 years later, are we really in self-rule is the question mark. And it brings us into our Kickstarter reflecting on Uganda's political climate. I am Priscilla Regina Daloga. Now, about 5 days ago, we do have the National Unity Platform leader, Robert Sentamuchagulani, having been arrested on tarmac at the Entebbe International Airport. And not only was he arrested, of course, he was whisked away to his home in Magere and placed and house arrest, as some have come out to call it. It's something that we'll interrogate later on with my guest. But equally also, you do have other party members and subscribers and followers who had come out for the 1 million march on that day, also being arrested. Now we want to find out, has any of them been released? We do have the media also having seen the bad side of the day, some of our media members being arrested by police. And so we want to take an account of the last 5 days. As far as the political climate is concerned, are we actually having independence as far as that is concerned? We are joined by Mr. Benjamin Katana, who is the National Treasurer with the National Unity Platform, but also he's a counsel and a lawyer in his capacity. Mr. Katana, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Priscilla, and all the viewers of this program.
Now, I know that it's been a tough 5 days for the National Unity Platform, but let's take a track back and reflect on the national-wide tour that the National Unity Platform had, starting with Mbarara to Fort Portal, then east of Uganda into the north. Could you give us what were the assessments that were realized by the National Unity Platform in different regions, and what came out that is actually going to guide the next steps of the party?
Thank you very much, Priscilla. One is that political parties, by their nature, are entities whose work is largely in mobilization of people or citizens around certain causes and values that the parties stand for. And in that regard, our party engages in a number of activities. And the now ongoing, because we have not yet concluded it, nationwide tour is one of such avenues through which the party has been doing its work that it's mandated to do under the Constitution and in any other reasonable circumstances. One is that we were warmly welcomed in every part of the country that we went to. You saw the massive turnout of the people. And of course, in the initial stages, there was minimal disruption by the security agencies, and many people were asking, why is security not disrupting the activities, which in itself points to a problem that people expect the security agencies to disrupt a political party when it's doing its it's work
An
that it's mandated to
opposition
do.
political
Yes.
party. Yes.
Yes, yeah. And it partly explains the political climate in the country, the environment that we are dealing with a situation that people have got used to abnormal things. And so when the normal things happen, then they are treated. It's a surprise to the population that how come this time around the opposition party or actors in the opposition are going about their business with minimal or no disruption from state agencies. And it points to what we have been talking about, that that in Uganda you have a fusion. You have the state of Uganda fused in the person of the one running the country at the moment and the party that is ideally running the country. And so when you are involved in any political contestation with the ruling party and the person at the helm, then the perception, because that's what the people have been programmed to believe, the perception is that you have now become an enemy of the country and you treated as such. That's why you saw during the campaigns in 2021 and previously in 2016, 2011, you see the mighty of the state of Uganda, the army, the police. These are coercive arms of the state that should be used to deal with the enemies of Uganda. But they are now used to coerce the population into having one line of thought and taking away people's right to, one, form an opinion, two, to choose whom to support and associate with, and a number of other freedoms. So unfortunately, that situation, the population in Uganda has largely been programmed to look at it as normal, but it's very abnormal. But because of the period that the people of Uganda have lived under control, you would say that through the colonial days, you had the governor and Her Majesty's government using the state might to control the population. That system was inherited by the immediate post-independence government. It was maintained by the subsequent governments and the current one. So even the question of independence that you're talking about, the right to self-determination for people to choose that this is how we want to be governed, this is who should govern us, that right has not fully been exercised by the people of Uganda from the time the colonialists came here up to now. So we are still living under that yoke of dictatorship, of control, where the population lives under the fear of the people running government. Yet ideally, even when our forefathers were fighting for independence, the perception and the hope of the people of Uganda, the hope was that now that we are pushing away these people who have been controlling us, who have been oppressing us, we are going to have our fellow Ugandans who are going to allow us to live like other people live in sovereign states, where we are able to enjoy our rights and freedoms, and where we are able to live as proud citizens of the country. But what we have today is that you have people that are perceived, for example, not to support the government, or people that have come out to say we are opposed to ABC. They are treated as second-class citizens in their country, which is very unfortunate.
Okay, all right. Of course, it was a surprise to all Ugandans that the security interference was very minimal. If anything, they were quite collaborative of the national tour that the party was having. Now, moving forward, 5 days ago, with the arrest of the party leader, he was campaigning for a 1 million march upon his return to Uganda. First, tell us about the 1 million march. What was its agenda?
No, first of all is that he was not, to set the record straight, he was not campaigning for a 1 million march. But some of our supporters, especially online, on social media, started a campaign that when our leader is returning, let's organize ourselves and go and welcome him as show of support for him and the party. And like I mentioned at the beginning, political organizations by their nature, they are vehicles of mobilization. So that march or any other activities that the party engages in are clearly to strengthen the organization and to continue to strike a deeper chord with the population. And I must say that that mobilization by our supporters did not in any way offend the law.
Mm-hmm.
But like I mentioned at the beginning, we are dealing with a highly militarized regime that believes in using fear as a tool of control.
Mm-hmm.
How do you entrench this fear? Make sure that you project invincibility. That if you say you are going to organize a 1 million march, we will stop you, whether you are offending the law or not. Whether you are a party president, we are going to humiliate you when we choose, not because you have offended the law, but because that's what we want to do at this moment.
Okay.
And the regimes like that, by their nature, they and I always like to use the analogy of amoeba, the organism. It keeps changing shape. It keeps changing for survival. So that's how they are, regimes of that nature. That for them, when they want you to, they will say, today we shall allow you to mobilize. The next day they will say you will not mobilize. What that means is that it's not the law which will guide you. What will guide you on what to do and what not to do is not the law, but the wishes of those in control.
All right, so let's talk about the law itself. While you say, you know, some of the subscribers to the party were mobilizing this 1 million march, we still have to adhere to the law and order of the day. You must write to police to inform them of what you want to do. They must give you, you know, acceptance or clearance letter, and of course support you as far as security is concerned to march for whatever reasons that they were marching for. Did that actually transpire? Because on the side of the police, they're right to have done what they wanted to do.
To be notified.
To protect the peace and to protect people's businesses and the order of the day, you know, vis-a-vis what was being planned.
First of all is that police is mandated to keep law and order, ideally. And that order, that law and order involve making sure that there is a balance on enjoyment of rights. Even the law that gives police the right to limit enjoyment of rights has a limitation on how police can exercise that power. And so there must be a balance.
Okay.
Number two, like I mentioned, this was not our activity as a party. So I may not be in position to communicate as to whether there was a notification by the organizers or not. Number three, the police, while doing so, or because, for example, police is supposed to come in, ensure that there is a proper traffic flow, ensure that there is no disruption of law and order. And while doing so, police must itself be guided by the law. The beating of journalists, for example.
No, before we go into the beating of the journalists.
I'm just giving examples.
One, you have said, Mr. Katana, that matters you are not directly involved in the arrangements that were being done, but these are supporters of the National Unity Platform. These are people that you could have reached out directly or indirectly to make sure that they also follow the law and order in whatever their desires were. And that does not seem to have, you know, been amalgamated between the party leadership and the return of the president and its supporters, which alone is a disruption in the system.
No, I mentioned that I may not be in position, because this was not an official party activity, I may not be in position to confirm that a notification was made or not. So I wouldn't want to
speak on their behalf.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's join Ivan Kewarunyoro, who was on ground that very day equally. He wants to talk to us about some of the National Unity Platform supporters that were arrested relating to the political climate and conversation that we do have in studio. Good morning to you, Ivan.
Well, it is a very good morning to you, Priscilla, and I am coming to you from the streets of the main NTV town. Just like you're seeing behind me, that is NTV town. The other road you're seeing leads to State House, and there is also the Magistrates Court the other side. You're seeing behind me. But of course, when the National Unity Platform Party President Robert Kyagulanyi was returning to the country, of course, many supporters were arrested along NTV Road, and 7 of them, of course, were arraigned before court last week and charged for holding unlawful meetings, gatherings, and they were supposed to be given bail. Actually, they were granted, but it was a cash bail of 200,000 each one of them. But upon going to pay the money in the bank, they say they paid it late, so court was not able to approve the payment, and they were returned to Chigo prison. And today is when I'm told they are supposed to be brought back to the court. But of course, a lot came along with that. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Busiro South was also arrested. That is Charles Matovu, but he was given a police bond, and those still stayed in jail. But different National Unity Platform members were trying to also make sure that they get justice. And Honorable Shamim Malende was part of the team. The Honorable Member of Parliament, Kakembo, was also on the team that was trying to liaise with the court to see that these people receive justice. But I just want to talk to the Honorable Member of Parliament for NTV Municipality to tell us really what is on ground and what really happens. We do not know. You were in court last time, and please tell us what exactly transpired when you were in court.
In the court, of course, we have gone to secure bail of our comrades who were arrested.
Yes.
For illegal assembly, that's what they say, but they were not assembling anywhere. These are the people who are picked on the roadside because they are put on either a beret or a t-shirt of Chaguranyi or any attire that resembles red. You could be arrested. So it was not a gathering at all because many of them were picked on the road. So we went to secure bail for them. Bail was granted, of course. The first file, we received it, we paid in the bank in time, and we secured them.
How much money did you pay?
We paid 1.6 million. Yes. So the second file had 7 people, including Honorable Joyce Nabata, Babiri Amina, and others. So we paid 1.6 million to the bank. We came back with the bank slips, fully paid and stamped. But the court had, its own games. I wouldn't say we came in late. No, it wasn't late. But they picked the forms from us. They turned the form for like 10 minutes. Their time after, they gave it back to us, claiming they don't have a general receipt. And we were supposed to go to the cashier to give us the general receipt. At exactly 5, the cashier left off and closed the door. So it was a very big disappointment. All of us, we were left, perplexed. We had nothing to do because they insisted, including the chief magistrate. Okay. If you don't have a general receipt.
Okay, Honorable, just maybe in 15 seconds before we hand over back to the studio. So what next? Today is a working day. What next? In 15 seconds we get.
Yeah, today we are trying to process. They don't call it a production warrant. This is a release order.
Yes. Because
bail was granted. For some few technicalities here and there, and we want to go to court right now, get the general receipt, we process, and then we'll get a release order, and we drive right now to Chigo prison to pick our people, the 7 of them.
Okay, we wish you well, of course, and success in whatever you are going to do, but thank you for giving us an update.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
good morning,
the Honorable Member of Parliament, Michael Kakembo, just giving us an insight of what really happened and what is on. But of course, we also wait to see what transpires, and so we can be able to let our audience know about this. For time reasons, Priscilla, let me get back to the studios. Good morning to you and our audience.
Well, thank you so much, Ivan, for that update from Wakiso. Now returning to studio here, Councillor Katana also is going to be answering the patent question, what next? Party president is arrested, whisked away to his home in Magere. A few days later, as of yesterday, celebrating 61 years of independence, some of the other party leadership is also arrested while they were trying to have their own version of independence celebrations, commemorating it with prayers for National Unity Platform supporters who have died for the cause and those that are still missing. So what's the way forward? Where do we go from here?
Well, first of all, we emphasize that the arrest and the manner in which it was conducted offends the law. Because the law prescribes how arrests are conducted. And number 2 is that his home is not a detention center. So for you to grab someone from the airline before he has even reached immigration control and whisk him away to his home and turn it into a detention center, deny him his right to move about freely, he couldn't leave. As party leaders, we couldn't access his home personally, and other leaders at around 5, 6 in the evening, we tried to go to his home and we were stopped by police, which had put a barricade near his home. So clearly, all these are not things that you know, align well with the law. But it is not surprising. And every day, we live with that reality. But our duty and responsibility is not to fold our arms and walk away. Because the time-tested medicine and prescription for unfairness and injustice is resistance. So our job is to continuously come up with ways through which we can resist that injustice and work towards a fair and just system. And so, like our party president mentioned recently, our tour continues and other activities. And because yesterday part of the activities that were disrupted by security agencies, largely the army, assisted by police. Because if you watched the clips of the arrests that were being conducted yesterday, it was largely conducted by people in military uniform, not even in police. And so part of the activities that were disrupted yesterday was a press conference through which the party was going to communicate to the nation and our supporters our next course of action.
Okay.
And I want to assure Ugandans that that program will come out.
All right, thank you so much, Councillor Katana Benjamin,
My
National
pleasure.
Treasurer with the National Unity Platform. And of course, we'll be keeping tabs on what is going to transpire next for the party. Now,